Hello, I'm Kathy Putnam, the Public Involvement Coordinator for Central Florida Expressway Authority Studies. Welcome to the Alternatives Public Meeting for the widening and improvement of County Road 532 from South Old Lake Wilson Road, that's the Osceola County name, and Lake Wilson Road, the Polk County name, to US 1792 in Osceola County. And thank you for attending. With me are Dana Chester, Manager of Engineering with CFX, and Cliff Tate with Kimley Horn, the consultant firm for this project. CFX, in conjunction with Osceola County, is conducting this meeting. Before we begin the presentation today, we wanted to go over a few housekeeping items for those of you who might be new to this meeting format. At the bottom of your screen are multiple application engagement tools that you can use. All the engagement tools are resizable and movable, so feel free to move them around to get the most out of your desktop space. You can expand your slide area or maximize it to full screen by clicking on the box in the top right corner of the slide. If you have any questions during the meeting, you can submit them through the Q&A engagement tool. We'll try to answer all questions during this meeting, but if a fuller answer is needed or we run out of time, we will answer via email as soon as possible. Please know that we do capture all questions. For the best viewing experience, we recommend using a wired internet connection and closing any programs or browser sessions running in the background that could cause issues. This virtual public meeting is bandwidth intensive, so closing any unnecessary browser tabs will help conserve your bandwidth. This meeting is being streamed through your computer, so there is no dial-in number. For the best audio quality, please make sure your computer speakers or your headset are turned on and the volume is up so you can hear the presenters. You can find additional answers to some common technical issues located in the Help engagement tool at the bottom of your screen. An on-demand version of this virtual public meeting will be available within 48 hours after this meeting. It can be accessed using the same address link, the audience link, that was emailed to you earlier for this live virtual meeting. And finally, you can find additional information in the green Resources tab at the bottom of your screen. This meeting and study are being conducted without regard to race, color, national origin, age, sex, religion, disability, or family status. Persons wishing to express their concerns relative to compliance by CFX with Title VI may do so by contacting me, Kathy Putnam, via the information on this slide. All inquiries or complaints will be handled according to CFX procedure and in a prompt and courteous manner. I'll now turn the presentation over to Dana Chester, the Manager of Engineering with CFX. Dana?
Thank you, Kathy. The purpose of tonight's meeting is to discuss the project history, describe the study process, present the project and the alternatives being evaluated to the public, present the benefits and impacts of the alternatives to the natural, physical, social, and cultural environments of the roadway, to answer your questions, and most importantly, obtain your comments on the alternatives, which will help in the selection of the preferred alternative. This project is approximately 3 miles long and is from South Old Lake Wilson Road in Osceola County and Lake Wilson Road in Polk County to US 1792. County Route 532 runs along the Osceola and Polk County line, with the southern edge of the road right-of-way being the county line for the western 2/3 of the project. The eastern third of the project is completely within Osceola County. This improvement of County Route 532 is part of a coordinated effort to improve the transportation conditions in the area. In 2018, CFX completed a concept, feasibility, and mobility study to determine how best to improve and extend Poinciana Parkway to I-4. In 2019, CFX then completed a project development and environment, or a PD&E study, to determine the alignment for the extension of the existing Poinciana Parkway to County Route 532. This study also identified the need to improve the connection of County Route 532 over to I-4. The study findings were shared with other transportation agencies, including the Florida Department of Transportation, to ensure that roadway improvements were made in a coordinated fashion. In 2020, CFX began the design of Poinciana Parkway extension from the existing Poinciana Parkway up to County Route 532, and expects to begin construction of that section in 2022. Currently, CFX, in partnership with Osceola County, is studying and will design improvements of County Route 532 from South Old Lake Wilson / Lake Wilson Road to US 1792. Construction of this project is expected to begin in late 2022 and will provide a 4-lane connection from the Poinciana Parkway to I-4. Recognizing the congestion at the interchange of County Route 532 and I-4, FDOT and Osceola County have started designing improvements to that interchange. Due to congestion on I-4 between County Route 532 and State Route 429, FDOT and the Florida's Turnpike are currently designing additional lanes on I-4 between County Route 532 and State Route 429. Construction of the improvements to the interchange of County Route 532 and I-4 will begin in the spring of 2021, and the construction of the improvements to I-4 are expected to begin in the fall of 2021. There are also other studies and project designs that are currently ongoing in this area. These include Florida's Turnpike has undertaken PD&E studies for the extension of Poinciana Parkway past County Route 532 to I-4, along with the widening of State Route 429 in this area. Osceola County is currently conducting a PD&E study for improving South Old Lake Wilson Road. Polk County is completing the design for widening of Lake Wilson Road and is expected to begin construction in the spring of 2022. Finally, FDOT is working on a PD&E for the widening of US 1792 east of the Poinciana Parkway extension. So what is the purpose of the project? The purpose is to improve transportation system linkage, improve regional connectivity and mobility, to provide needed capacity, to improve safety, to serve social and economic needs, and to provide consistency with other transportation plans. The study methodology used analyzes and documents numerous potential impacts to the physical, natural, social, and cultural environments of the roadway. Public involvement and stakeholder coordination is an integral part of the study, and multiple opportunities for participation have been and will continue to be provided. communication of study findings, and solicitation of comments are available through the CFX Study webpage. CFX sent out an informational mailer on March 3rd, 2021. Tonight's Alternatives Workshop is being held on May 25th, 2021, with both in-person and virtual attendance options. And a public information meeting is also planned in January of 2022. Board presentations will be made to the CFX Governing Board and to the Osceola and Polk Boards of County Commissioners. And meetings continue to be held with various stakeholders along the corridor. This is a list of the stakeholder meetings that have either been conducted or will be conducted as outreach to key stakeholders in the area. In addition, we are available to meet with any group should they desire. We will now discuss the project alternatives. This graphic shows the existing roadway typical section of County Route 532, which is a two-lane undivided roadway that is located in the northern half of the existing right-of-way. Three build alternatives are being analyzed for County Route 532, with the primary difference being the typical section of the roadway. No additional roadway right-of-way is required for any of the alternatives. However, additional right-of-way will be required for stormwater runoff ponds. This slide, along with the next two slides, focuses on the differences between each alternative. All three alternatives include a 4-lane divided roadway with 12-foot lanes, a variable width planting strip for landscaping on both sides of the roadway, a 10-foot shared use path on the north side, and a 5-foot sidewalk on the south side of the road, which may be substituted with a 10-foot shared use path if desired. All three alternatives also have an enclosed drainage system with curb and gutter along the outside lanes. Alternative 1 includes a 30-foot raised median in the center of the roadway, 4-foot inside shoulders, and 7-foot bicycle lanes in each direction. The design speed for this alternative is 50 miles per hour. Please keep in mind that the design speed does not mean that's what the posted speed will be when the project is complete. It is simply the speed that the road is being designed to. Alternative 2 includes a 30-foot raised median and 5-foot bicycle lanes in each direction, as shown in the graphic. The design speed for this alternative is 45 miles per hour. And alternative 3 includes a 40-foot depressed median, 8-foot inside shoulders, and 7-foot bicycle lanes in each direction. The design speed for this alternative is 50 miles per hour. There are multiple potential pond sites being considered. Generally, there will be one pond per drainage basin, and the color of each pond represents a different drainage basin. Existing ponds will be used for Basin 1 on the west side of the project, so those are not shown. 2 ponds are being evaluated for Basin 2, signified by the light blue color. 3 ponds are being evaluated for Basin 3, signified by the yellow color. It should be noted that Pond 3D is large enough to accommodate both Basins 3 and 4. Only one pond is identified for Basin 4, signified by the green color. Please note that this pond would not be needed if the drainage runoff can be accommodated in adjacent basin ponds. 3 ponds are being evaluated for Basin 5, shown by the raspberry color. 2 ponds are being evaluated for Basin 6, signified by white, and 2 ponds are being evaluated for Basin 7, shown by the blue color. Again, we expect only 1 pond per drainage basin will be required. And it also should be noted that the final pond locations and sizes will be identified during the design process. Access management is the coordinated planning, regulation, and design of access between roadways and adjacent land development. It promotes the efficient and safe movement of vehicles by reducing conflicts on the roadway system. The drawing on the left depicts a roadway with no access management at all. Conflict points are defined as points along a roadway where travelers' paths can legally cross one another, and these are depicted in the drawing by the red dots. The goal of access management is to manage these conflicts and reduce the overall potential for accidents. For County Route 532, access management will be used to increase safety through a restrictive median to reduce overall conflicts. In this example, the graphic on the right shows the installation of a median and a directional median opening, which restricts exiting lefts from the roadway at the bottom of the graphic, resulting in fewer conflicts. Access is being limited by the installation of the median opening, but mobility and safety will be increased. Statistically, to make a left turn out of a driveway, it is safer to turn right and then make a U-turn than it is to make a left initially. FDOT has established specific median openings for several different access management classifications, shown here in the table. Osceola County is establishing an access management classification of 5 for the section of County Route 532 between Old Lake Wilson / Lake Wilson Road and US 1792. Access Class 5 allows directional median openings at a minimum spacing of 660 feet from an adjacent median opening. Full median openings can be provided with a minimum spacing of 1,320 feet apart. This slide depicts our draft access management plan, which is currently under evaluation and subject to change. As a reminder, directional median openings allow for right in, right out, and left in turning movements accessing the side street. However, left turns out from the side street are not permitted. All 3 project alternatives have the same access management plan. Full median openings would be provided at all existing intersections except the following. Directional median openings would be provided at Tanglewood Drive, 21 Palms RV Resort Access Drive, Sable Trail Eastern Access Drive, and Sandy Oak Drive. All other connections beside those shown in this table would be restricted to right in and right out movements only. This matrix summarizes the evaluation of the build alternatives as well as the no-build alternative. This matrix is included in the materials under the Resources tab at the bottom of your screen, so you can further review the details. As previously mentioned, the typical sections vary between alternatives. so there are differences in the median width, design speeds, and bicycle lane widths. Alternative 3 allows for the widening of the roadway into the median to provide for future 6 lanes on the roadway. All alternatives provide improved safety, with Alternative 2 being marginally safer for bicyclists. The build alternatives provide better traffic operations with the traffic volume over the roadway capacity ratio of 0.95, compared to 2.14 for the no-build alternative. A smaller number is better. There will be no impacts to existing developments and no impacts to parks, recreation areas, or community facilities. 9 low-risk contamination parcels may be impacted, but no medium or high-risk contamination parcels are affected. There are no significant potential historic or agricultural resources that will be impacted. 2 potential linear historic resources are impacted. The South Florida Railroad is eligible for the National Register of Historic Places, but the proposed improvement poses no adverse effect. The old Tampa Highway may be eligible as well. However, additional evaluation is required to develop any recommendations. No adverse impacts to wildlife or their habitats are anticipated, and no bald eagle nests are affected. 12.1 acres of wetlands are impacted, and 2.3 acres of surface water is impacted. Alternative 2 has the lowest projected cost at approximately $41.1 million. Alternative 3 is the next lowest cost at approximately $43.3 million. And Alternative 1 has the highest overall cost at approximately $46.9 million. The next steps as we go through the process will be to identify a preferred build alternative, finalize engineering and environment analysis, prepare the engineering and environmental report, and present our findings to both the CFX Governing Board and the Osceola County Commission. This slide shows the project schedule. The study phase will be completed in July of 2021 with board presentations the following month. Design efforts will begin in August of 2021, and another public information meeting will be held in January of 2022. Construction of the project is then expected to begin in late 2022 or early 2023. After this meeting, you can contact either Kathy Putnam or Fred Burkett for additional information. You can also access the project study website at the CFX web address shown on this slide. Kathy?
Thanks very much, Dana. This concludes the presentation, and we wanted to thank the attendees for their time and input. We're going to have some time to go over some questions and answers, and I know that we have some coming in. So let me turn to Dana Chester, again, Manager of Engineering for CFX, and Cliff Tate with Kimley Horn, the consultant firm for this project. Dana, first let me ask you, why is County Road 532 being widened?
Well, the main purpose for the project, Kathy, is to improve the connection between the upcoming extension of Poinciana Parkway and I-4 via County Route 532. Currently, County Road 532 is 4-laned between Old Lake Wilson Road and I-4, and this project would complete that 4-laning between that section of 532 all the way to the east to US 1792.
Okay, very good. And then, so why exactly is the study being done for the County Road 532 widening?
Well, before the project can be designed, the study portion of the project is to provide CFX and Osceola County the information that they need to decide on the preferred typical section for the roadway.
Now, because CFX is involved, does that mean that there's going to be a toll associated with County Road 532?
No, absolutely not. CFX and Osceola County are partnering on this project because the extension of Polk Parkway will end, at least for a number of years in the future, at County Route 532. And traffic is expected to increase along County Route 532 in the future as drivers from Point Siena Parkway Extension make their way over to I-4. But there is no plan to put any tolls whatsoever on County Route 532 itself.
Okay, and you had mentioned Polk Parkway there. Point Siena Parkway, that there are plans to extend that to I-4, correct?
Yes, I apologize. You're right. Point Siena Parkway is shown in the graphic here. CFX is currently widening the existing section of Point Siena Parkway to 4 lanes, and then there's currently a design to take that section all the way up to County Route 532, as we've already discussed. And then from that point, the Florida Turnpike is considering extending Polk Parkway past County Road 532 up to I-4. And the Turnpike is currently conducting a project development and environment study on that extension to determine the best alignment.
Okay, so that is some real mobility improvement in our region. Let me just remind folks in this meeting, if you have any comment, if you have a question, please go to the Q&A tab found at the bottom of your screen and type in your question. Again, if your question is requires some research on our part, we may have to follow up with you via email in a couple days. Do know that we do capture all questions, and we have your emails from registration, so we will be able to follow up with you. Dana, thinking about the study and everything that's happening, when do you anticipate that this study portion will be complete, and then what are the next steps?
Certainly. This study was started in June of 2020 and is currently underway, as we discussed, and it's anticipated to be completed by July of this year, 2021. The project will then very quickly enter into the design phase, and that should last about a year.
And then what occurs after the design phase?
Well, once that design phase is completed, construction is already funded in the CFX work plan, and it could start as early as late 2022 or early 2023. And then the widening completion is expected to coincide with the completion of the Point Siena Parkway extension, which should all occur around the fourth quarter of 2024.
Okay, very good. And I know that people in the area, quite often when we have construction projects, they are concerned about potential impacts from construction. Will property be impacted by construction?
Yes, we certainly understand people's concerns about access to their properties. Now, access will remain for all properties along the corridor during construction. So no matter what construction is going on, people will still be able to access their homes or their businesses throughout the life of the project. However, if someone has a specific concern we ask that they provide us with their property address or parcel ID, some way that we can identify where the property is. And then someone will follow up with you to discuss the location of your property in relation to the study alternatives or even during construction itself.
All right, terrific. And we do have a question about when CFX or when land might be, when land acquisition might begin for this project. Could you speak to that?
Certainly. Again, I want to remind everyone that we don't have a need to take a long stretch of right-of-way along the corridor, as you might see in some projects, because the right-of-way is already out there for us to do the roadway widening itself. So the only right-of-way that would need to be taken would be individual parcels for the ponds for potential locations like you see here. However, having said that, the acquisition of right-of-way typically occurs well into the design phase of the project. So the study will be completed first with those potential pond sites identified, and then during design, the next phase would be when we would go out and acquire the property. One other thing that we've had happen, Kathy, in the past is we've had some folks ask us if there are sound walls associated with the project. No, there are no sound walls associated with this particular project. There will be no sound walls along County Road 532 when the construction is completed. Another question that we get sometimes is, what are the differences between the alternatives? And as I mentioned before, the main differences are the widths and locations of the bike lanes and the medians. Each alternative will be a 4-lane roadway, and depending upon which alternative we're looking at, there's a 5-mile-an-hour difference in design speed. Between 45 and 50 miles an hour. So the design speed that I mentioned is simply what the speed that we will design the roadway to. That does not mean that that's going to be the posted speed. In addition, I know a lot of folks want to make sure that their input is heard and that they are able to obtain information on the project. And so there will be future meetings. First of all, if you received a mailed notice of tonight's meeting, you will also receive one for the next meeting that we have coming up in January of 2022. Also, we'll add you to the study stakeholder database, so you will receive an email notice as well. And again, anybody that wants to at any point in time find out more about the project, more about what we're doing, can go to the CFX website that you see here, www.cfxway.com.
As you said, people will be contacted. We do send out notices to stakeholders, to people who have registered and attended our previous meetings, so they certainly will get notice. I do have a question, and I'm sorry for our little hiccup there. Was Cliff able to join us and speak to the access management and how the full access versus the directional median opening works? Were you all,
Sure,
because I know he had a question about that. Were you able to review that?
Sure, I'll be glad to answer that question. Yeah, as Dana mentioned during the presentation, we will be implementing access management for the intention to improve safety. And for that, we follow the State Transportation Department's access management guidelines, which were developed to reduce points of conflict on the roadway. The multiple lanes that are planned for County Road 532, the widening means there's going to be more chance of conflicts between vehicles crossing. And so by constructing the median, we provide safety from head-on collisions. And then by implementing the directional median openings in some locations, which is illustrated by the diagram on the right, vehicles can turn left into the project or into their neighborhood. But if they're wanting to turn left out from the side street, they'll need to turn right and go down to the next median opening and do a U-turn. And I know this, some people would consider this an inconvenience, but under heavier traffic volumes, it's actually much safer to make this movement. The chance of crashes are less, and also the severity of the crashes are much less, as opposed to what might happen if vehicles were turning left out from the development.
Okay, that's helpful. Thanks very much. And I did want to go ahead and put up the streets once again, so people could see that currently are planned for full median opening and the directional median openings. Again, this is still under review, and there is the potential for change there. And of course, as we had said, this presentation will be available on demand within 48 hours using the audience link that you were emailed to join this meeting. Cliff, could you go over the differences between the alternatives? I'm going to go ahead and bring up alternative one, because when you just look at it, it doesn't seem like there are vast differences. Could you run us through these?
Sure, I'll be glad to. The main differences, as was mentioned before, is between the median, which is the separator between the two directions of travel, and the bicycle lanes in each one. And in this alternative, we have a 30-foot median, which also includes 4-foot paved shoulders on each side. And then for the bicyclists, those are on the outside, and those are 7 feet wide. When you go to alternative number 2, it also has a 30-foot median, but it doesn't include the 4-foot inside shoulders, and it includes a 5-foot bike lane. And then in alternative 3, we have the wider 40-foot median, and then it also has 7-foot bicycle lanes.
Okay, thank you very much for running through that. I did want to ask folks one more time, Cliff, if you could, or Dana, if you could just touch on the issue of potential pond sites. I think, as you all had said, the actual widening is anticipated to be within existing right-of-way, but could you take us through the pond sites?
Sure, Kathy. Sorry, Cliff. I'll start off and you can jump in. Okay. What you see on the slide here are potential pond sites that we have. And again, the large areas that we call basins, which are basically areas that the drainage goes into, there are several on the project. We're showing them denoted by the various colors here. But I think the thing that people should keep in mind is this seems like a lot of locations, but we will not use every single one of these locations. We're anticipating that we will only need one location per each basin. So for example, you wouldn't necessarily see 2A and 2B, you would see one or the other. Cliff?
No, that covers it great. And then just even as we're looking at Basin 4, we've gone through the extra step of trying to accommodate Basin 4 and the adjacent Basins 3 and 5. So again, to reduce the number of ponds that might be needed.
Okay, terrific. Well, we thank you all, Cliff and Dana. Thank you so much for your knowledge and your sharing with us tonight. And to our participants, thank you for your attendance and for your input. That's important. For additional comments or questions, please submit them through the Q&A tab at the bottom of your screen or email us at projectstudies@cfxway.com. Comments need to be submitted by June 4, 2021 to be part of the study. And we, again, thank you for your participation and for joining us today.